Hey there, welcome to a Unity 2D tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be making a basic game with a character that can shoot projectiles and collect potions. So here I have Unity, nothing set up yet. I've got my hierarchy, just the camera in there, and just the sample scene in my assets folder. Over on pixelart.com, which you can see in the background, I've made a few sprites and I've already downloaded them. So that's these four here. All I'm going to do is select them and drag them straight into my Unity editor. Cool, now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go ahead and just create a folder for these called sprites and put them inside of that. Cool. So firstly I want my player, so I'll drag him into my scene. And I'm going to make him a little bit bigger, maybe about that big. And I'm going to get rid of the sprite at the end of this name, because he's not... Oh. The end of that name, because he's just going to be my player. In addition to this guy, I'm also going to grab a platform. Once again, make it a bit bigger. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger as well. And move this around. Get rid of that word sprite, because this is just a platform, and that's that. So if I play my game now, nothing interesting is going to happen, because these things here, whilst they exist, they can't actually move or interact with each other. So I'm going to give them both a collider. My player, I'm going to give a capsule collider. I'm just going to edit the collider and bring it in a little bit closer to my wizard. As close as I can. I don't want his hat to hit into things, and I'll bring this up. Awesome. So now he can hit into things, but he can't actually move, so I'm also going to give him a rigid body 2D, so that he can now fall. So he'll fall straight through the floor, because the floor also needs a collider. In this case, a box collider will work well, but this is not quite the box that I want, so I'm going to edit. Drag this down to just below the wispy parts of the grass. I can drag that one there up. So now when I play my game, my character should fall onto the ground. Cool, so he fell, and he's there. So now I need to write myself a script. I'm going to write a script for this guy to be able to move. So I'm going to create another folder for all my scripts. And inside of that, I'm going to create a C# script called player movement. Player movement, and let's open this up with Visual Studio. Awesome, so here's my script, all loaded up with the basic Unity layout. What I need to do is I need a few variables. To begin with, I need a positional number, which will tell me whether I'm going to the left or the right. I'm going to make this private so that I don't need to see it. So private float horizontal. I'm going to make another private. In fact, I'll make this public so I can change it if I need to. Float speed. And I'll set that by default to 10 and then F, because this is a floating point number. And I'll make this again public so I can change it if I need to. Public float jump power. Oh. And once again I'll set this to about 10. Lastly, I need to check whether I'm facing to the left or the right. I don't need to be able to see that all the time, so I'll make this private. It's a boolean, and it's just going to check if I'm facing right. By default, my character is facing right, so it'll be set to true. Okay, so these are just the variables I'm going to use, but I need one other thing. I need a reference to the rigid body and 2D, because it's a 2D object, of this thing. I'm just going to call this RB, And the reason I'm making it private is because in the start void, I'm just going to get the rigid body of this object. Equals whatever game object the script is attached to, it would be ject dot get components, and I want to get its rigid body 2D component. So when the game starts, its rigid body is going to be set to whatever this game object's rigid body is. Cool, so now I need to actually be able to move, and I'm going to do all of that in the update. So all I'm going to say is horizontal equals that number is going to equal the inputs dot get axis raw for the horizontal value. So this is going to get a 0 if I'm not moving, a -1 if I'm going to the left, or a +1 if I'm going to the right, and assign it to this variable here, horizontal. My rigid body, the actual thing that moves my character, its velocity, is going to be a new vector2. Because we're working in 2 dimensions, it needs to know an x value and a y value, while its horizontal value is going to be horizontal times the speed of my character. And the y value, in this case I'm not jumping, so it'll just be whatever it currently is. So rb rigid body dot velocity dot y. In addition to this, so this is going to move my character, I also want to be able to jump. So if inputs dot get button down jump if they push the jump button, and their rigid body velocity is on the y-axis is equal to 0, i.e. they're not jumping already or falling, then I want their rigid body's velocity on the y-axis to change. Oh, sorry, rigid body's velocity to change to a new vector2, just like before. In this case, the x value is not changing, so rb.velocity.x will be whatever it currently is, and the y value will be whatever my jump power is. Lastly, I want to handle flipping left and right. So if I'm facing right and the horizontal value is less than 0, or I'm not facing right and the horizontal value is greater than 0, then I want this, so dot transform to rotate 0 on the x-axis, 180 degrees, so a full flip on the y-axis, and 0 on the z-axis. And lastly, facing right equals not facing right. I put in an extra comma, so we'll just erase that, jump back into Unity. Cool. And I'll just give my player that script that I've written. See, it's only got the sprite renderer, rendering our sprite, transform position like everything, a capsule and the rigid body, and it's also going to have the player movement script, and I can see my speed and jump power because I made both of these public so I can change them later on. So I should be able to move to the left and the right. Oh, I'm a bit wobbly, and I can't jump because I've wobbled over. So I don't want to be able to actually rotate like that, so the rigid body, I need to go into the constraints and freeze its rotation. But I should be set now. So I can jump, I can go to the left and to the right. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and make some more platforms. So I'll just copy and paste these and move them over. A little bit of overlap is fine for this purpose. And I'm getting a lot of platforms, so I want to put all of these inside an empty object called my platforms. So grab them all and just put them in there, close that up so that it's a lot less to look at. But now, if I grab this, I can also move all of the platforms at once if I ever need to. And play my game, I should see I can walk and I can jump around this little area. Now, I want to be able to collect some potions. I made the sprites for the potions, I want to be able to get them. So I'll go back into my sprites and grab out a potion. A bit small, so I'll make it a bit bigger. Maybe that's a bit too big, so I'll make it a little bit smaller. There you go, something that my wizard could be able to collect. Now, this can't be interacted with because it doesn't yet have a collider, so I'll add one. In this case, the circle collider will work well. I'll edit it, just get it a little bit closer. Doesn't need to be super precise, but a bit better for this. There you go, that'll be fine for this object. And I actually want something to trigger when I walk into this, it not to be a solid object, so I'm going to hit is trigger. I'm going to have a few, oh sorry, I'll also get rid of the name and called potion. I'm going to have a few different potions, and every time I walk into them they're going to delete the previous one. So I'll need something to keep track of the score, but I'll do that in just a moment. Firstly, I'll give this thing here a script, so I'll go into my scripts, create one, and this one's going to be called collect potion. Cool, so it's all ready. I'll go ahead and open it up. And as we see here is the basic HTML setup. Now I actually don't need any of this. All I need my potion to do is to check if my players walked into it, then I want it to or let me know I've got a potion and delete itself. So if, sorry, I'm going to make a void on trigger enter 2D, because we're working in 2D, collider, and we'll call this thing the thing that walked into me if with an I, if the thing that walked into me has the name player, because remember we renamed that object, then I just want to debug.log you got the potion. And after that, I don't want to be able to continuously collect this potion, so I want to destroy the game object that this script is attached to, because this script is going to go on the potion. Back in Unity, we'll just click on the potion. Just like before, we're going to give this one the collect potion script. And click play. I should see now, down in the console here, when I walk into it, it deletes and it says you got the potion. So that works great. Let's get a few more. So every single one is going to be saying you got the potion down here and collecting and deleting itself. The only issue is that I don't know how many potions I've got. So we need an object. Create an empty object, in fact, and this is going to be our game manager. It's going to keep track of all of the niggly little things for us, and we're going to put it right at the very top, just so that we can see it. In fact, if we really wanted to, we could give it a little icon, so that we could see it here, but we really don't need to. This is only for in testing purposes, so I'll just select none. Alright, so what we want our game manager to do is it's going to keep track of how many potions we have. It's going to keep track of later on how much life we have. It's going to keep track of a bunch of other things. So we're going to make one master script to do all that for us. That script's going to be called create the game manager. It may show up with a different icon like this. That's perfectly fine. This is just because it's a unique script. So we'll give this thing the game manager script. Now let's write it. So the game manager needs to keep track of a bunch of different things for us, and we want to make this as simple as possible. So we'll make a public integer called the potions collected. When the game starts, by default potion collected will equal 0. Potions collected will equal 0. And we want to make two voids. We don't actually want to do anything in this script. We want other scripts to reference this one and make it do stuff. So we'll make a public void called collect potion. All this void is going to do is it's going to take our potions collected value and increase it. Likewise, we'll make another one. Public void use potion, for if we want to be able to do that in our game for any reason. And our potions collected value is going to subtract. Later on, we are also going to add lives, and we're going to use a very similar method to this. But notice how these will never happen. We actually need our collect potion script to reference this game manager object and tell them to happen. So at the very top, we need a public game manager, and we'll call it GM for game manager. So this is a public reference to this script. And all we want is, just before we get deleted, we want to reference the game manager, and we want to call this function here called collect potion. I'm going to copy and paste it so I'm absolutely sure there's no spelling mistakes, and I'll save that and go back to Unity. So our game manager has the amount of potions we've collected, 0, and each potion now wants to know, who is this game manager thing? What is it? Or we can click on this. Oh, we'll drag it straight in. This guy here, this object here, is holding the game manager script. Any subsequent potions that we copy and paste will already have that referenced. But there's actually no way of us as a player seeing that number, only as a developer. So we'll quickly have a look. We should see this potions collected number here on the side increase to 1, 2, 3, and 4. But we want to see that as a player. So what we need is a canvas. Once again, just like the platforms, I'm going to create an empty object and call this collectibles, and put all of my potions in there so that they are not all over the place. Then I'm going to create a UI canvas. This is going to be my general canvas, the canvas that's always going to be on the screen. My general canvas is going to have one piece of text at the moment. This is just going to be my score text. It's just going to say potions at the moment. And let's have a look at what that looks like. Oh, not very good looking. So our score text will increase its size. We'll increase the size of the font. We'll anchor it to the top corner of the screen, and we'll just move it over there. In fact, I might decrease that just a little bit. So, let's actually reference this and change the text. So over in our game manager script, because that's holding all of our values, all we want to do is on the update, get rid of the start for now. On the updates, so every frame we want to be saying, hey, make sure that that text value knows how many potions we have. So we need to reference it. Public text potions output, and we need potions output dot text to equal potions double dot space plus our potions collected number. So now back in Unity, so this won't work just yet. We also need to say we're using Unity Engine's UI package. So now back in Unity, so potions collected dot to string. So now that we've made the potions text, we just want that to be output to the screen. So I want to constantly be updating a text object that's keeping track of this for me, or outputting it for me. So I want to be using Unity Engine .ui, so I have access to the UI functions, and I want to, in my update void, just update a text value. But we don't actually have a reference to this text object, so I just need to say public text, and I'll call this one potions output, and then in here I'll write potions output dot text equals the word potions plus potions collected, the number that is the amount of potions we've collected. Alrighty, so back in Unity, we'll go ahead and hit play. We should see potions up here, update immediately to be potions. Oh, we don't quite yet. So back in Unity, all we need to do is tell the game manager what text object we're actually outputting the potion number to. It's going to be this score text. So I'll go ahead and click play. Now it says potions 0. Potions 1, 2, 3, 4, And as a player, now I know I don't need to be a developer to know how many potions I have. So the next one will be using a projectile, shooting some magical missiles out of my character, so stay tuned for that.